And now, a thought from Mann. Today's subject, sequels. You know, it's amazing how sequels work. A lot of the time they end up being big failures, but some of the times you actually get something pretty nice. I guess the reason why is usually because sometimes the sequels are planned out, but a lot of the times they're just, well, the first one was a success, so let's make a sequel. And oftentimes those end up being big failures. I just kind of find it strange. A lot of the time we haven't really learned how to just make a sequel right. Sometimes we do get it right, but a lot of the times we just make it because, hey, it can make money. It's just kind of weird. Sequels tend to work best whenever they're planned out and they take time and effort into making sure it works. Like the first Captain America basically came out in 2011, then 2014 came Captain America Winter Soldier, and you see how the first one was good, but then you get the second one and it's like, holy crap, this is really good. Like, I didn't think Captain America could be this good. And then another 2 years later, you get Captain America Civil War, and it's basically the best out of the whole trilogy of Captain America films. And basically the reason that is because they're more planned out. They make sure to think of what stories would work. Before, Captain America wasn't really gonna be about Civil War or anything like that, but then they decided, you know what, let's actually plan this out, let's sit down. We've been wanting to do another type of Avengers-like film that includes more characters in one film that isn't exactly Avengers, but it incorporates more superheroes. And it came out a big success. So basically, if you plan out the sequels, you tend to make sure they're a lot better. It's usually better to just straight up plan out the sequel, like have a movie, but make sure you plan out the next movie as well before you just move on to the next movie. Take your time if you have to. If it takes a couple of years, okay, as long as you're trying to perfect it. It works better that way for everyone. A lot of sequels that end up just coming out years later do tend to work as well. Like the Rugrats sequel, Rugrats in Paris, it actually was better than the first one because it felt a little more personal this time around. It didn't feel like, well, Toy Story had this story, so maybe we could use it here. Granted, it did kind of work for them with the first movie, but I'll be honest, the first one felt a little too dark for Rugrats.
So, everybody gets what they want.
This one felt just kind of right on the nose where it needed to be. It didn't go over the top with some crazy darkness or anything like that. It just kind of felt it had a personal story that it wanted to tell, and it told it just fine. Now granted, it was kind of rushed since the first one came out in 1998 and the sequel came out in 2000. It is sort of on the lines of, isn't that technically a rushed sequel? I guess, but at the same time, if you put a lot of time and effort into planning out the sequel, it works better for you. Even if it took you a little bit of time, as long as you really thought out everything and planned everything, you could still turn out a very good product. And that's just something a lot of sequels tend not to do. Sometimes sequels for movies end up coming out so late that everyone's like, why are we getting the sequel now? Like friggin' Mad Max, that got a sequel 30 years after the third film. It was a grand frickin' masterpiece, but damn, 30 years? But he took a lot of time and effort into making sure it was a great film and making it as great as it could be. So ultimately, there wasn't really a bad thing for it to be coming out so late. It's just, as long as he put time and effort into making sure it was a great product, there's no harm. It's mainly when someone waits so long to make a sequel, they decide, let's make a sequel just for making a sequel. Like Independence Day Resurgence, that was more of a I found it a little entertaining, but you really didn't need it. The first film was fine enough, even though it was still pretty stupid, and just as well, you were missing some crucial characters, mainly Will Smith for one thing. But ultimately, the film just came out just meh. There was no reason for it. So I can understand a lot of the hate. I find it entertaining, but it was nothing you needed to have. So ultimately, it is best to plan it out. Even if it takes you a long time, or if it takes you just 1 year to plan out a sequel, just take time to actually plan it out. That's really the most important thing.
What a lovely day!
A lot of sequels definitely don't know how to be continuations of the stories. I'm looking at you fucking Transformers. 4 times. Each movie was just lather, rinse, repeat. Each movie was basically just the same damn plot, where there's this magical thing that could possibly bring back all the Autobots and Decepticons or help build back Cybertron, and the Transformers have to fight it out. The Autobots have to try to get it to stop the Decepticons from destroying the Earth, trying to use that powerful thing. And the Decepticons try to get it to make sure they can destroy everything and destroy Earth, trying to bring back Cybertron. Each movie did that, and it was so fucking annoying, especially since every location in each movie was basically the same. All of them took place in a big city. All of them basically had them sometimes show up in the desert. Was there a reason for this? Did we need this? Why? 4 times? 4 times? The 4th one's the biggest insult because you made it seem like, yeah, this is gonna be different. But no, it was literally just the 1st and 2nd fucking movie. What the fuck? It's just so fucking angering that someone can literally lather, rinse, and repeat so many damn times. That's unheard of. That shouldn't happen. That shouldn't be a thing. But Michael Bay managed to do that. He managed to literally make the same movie 4 fucking times and sell it like it's a different product when it is literally the same damn product. I can't excuse that. There is no excuse for that type of laziness. And that's what annoys me with a lot of sequels. Sometimes they'll just do what the first one did, or try to capture what the first one did. They won't continue and try to build up the characters from the first one. Their thing is just redo what we did in the first one. Like, no, you have to do a continuation. You got to move on from where you were. You can't do this, stay in the same place, do the same thing over again. It gets tiring and it gets old. It's just way too damn lazy.
Why don't you get a haircut with your bitch ass?
Another set of movies that didn't really plan it out were definitely the Matrix movies. First one you could say was okay and nice and all. Granted, looking back, the effects were pretty dated and it kind of was a little bit pretentious, but it was still a nice action movie and all that, and it did kind of change things up, showcasing, yeah, action movies don't have to be just punches and kicks. You can have a little bit of philosophy, you can have a little bit of something that's there to make you think. But when you got the sequels, it's like, oh, they became way too pretentious. They got up their own asses so much. It was bad. The shit wouldn't get off of them for being up their own asses. That's how much they were up their own ass. Especially with the second one, with that dumbass guy talking.
Our life is the sum of a remainder of an unbalanced equation inherent to the programming of the Matrix. You are the eventuality of an anomaly which, despite my sincerest efforts, I have been unable to eliminate from what is otherwise a harmony of mathematical precision. While it remains a burden assiduously avoided, it is not unexpected and thus not beyond a measure of control.
No one knows what the hell he was talking about, and to this day we still don't. And it's just like, wow, this is what we get when you don't plan it out. This is what happens when you don't plan out your sequels and you just make it because, well, people like the first one. Like, no, you have to have a true passion for this. When you have a real passion for it, you're more likely to put more effort into it. When it's just on the mindset of, it can make me money, you tend to just make a shallow product, and no one wants that. So all in all, sequels really just need to plan it out. They just need to make sure they have good dialogue, make sure they do real character development, and make sure the stories are different from the first film. You can't just keep lather, rinse, repeating. People will get tired of it and realize, yeah, you're not being creative, you're just doing what you did the first time around. Come on, man, do something different, be different. Don't try to just recapture the old. We already have the old. Bring us something new. That's ultimately what we ask. If it has to take you a long time, okay then. We don't care if it takes you 1 year to make a sequel, as long as you took the time and effort to make sure this is a good script and going to be a good product. That is the most important thing to do. That is what you always need to do. Strive to make sure you are different and better than you were before. But that's just a thought.